Roland and Kelly, thank you for your leadership role and everything you're doing on behalf of the partnership. We need you more than ever. And my co-chairperson, Lee, we got to get together. Mondays and Fridays, I'm down near Pitney Bowes, so I would enjoy. And hey, Johnny Callis, I see you there. We had 12 of your kids here yesterday at the residence. We're not having the big holiday parties that we've had in years past. I think you understand what that's about. But we had 12 of the kids. Many of them I met when I was there at Coba with you a month or so ago. I'm a type of governor that says I don't like to sit on the sidelines. I like to get into the ring. But I did not take you up on that offer when I was with you. But your kids were amazing. And we had some fun and we told some stories. And we asked, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And one kid stood up and said, I want to be an actor. He did the most amazing Michael Jackson dance. You can see if we're still allowed to say that. Somebody wanted to be a lawyer. I said, okay, whatever. Somebody, a woman, she was seventh grade, said, I want to be a therapist, a counselor, a psychiatrist, and said, what's that about? And she said, too many of my friends are thinking about suicide. And that's a seventh grader, Johnny. So just to rewind for a second, we've had a heck of a 2 years, and we're getting through this COVID thing. I know we've had yet another speed bump and Omicron, and our infection rate is spiked up a little bit. And look, that's distressing. We're 95% of our folks who are eligible have had at least one shot. And, best in the country. We had very low infection rate for a long time. And so sometimes I hear the frustration, enough already. How can it be coming back again? I really believe this is one of the very last battles in a long war. I do know that the boosters are making an enormous difference in keeping people safe, keeping people out of the hospital, and keeping people from real complications. And that's the message I have to repeat over and over and over again. That said, there's been a lot of talk about long COVID and what are the long-term impacts on our communities? What's the long-term impact on our young people? And, I used to think of long COVID in physical terms, maybe there are going to be some respiratory issues that come back and haunt us later. But we have learned the hard way, the incredible mental duress that hit all of our society, in particular our young people. Maybe a lot of us were able to, I can go by Zoom, I can quarantine, I can watch a little Netflix, but there are an awful lot of young people that this is not quarantine, this was isolation. And I've often said I used to monitor what was going on by listening to some of the 211 calls or having them relayed to me. And early on during the pandemic, 211 calls are we going to live? Are we going to get through this? And then the 211 calls are a little more about where the heck's my unemployment check? Hurry up, Buster. And then increasingly there were calls from young people just needing somebody to talk to, just alone at home. And maybe mom or dad was a nurse and people weren't there. And we, working with the partnership and working with our amazing not-for-profits, we got other young people on the phone to talk to them, pick up, so you had somebody alive that you could be with. And I think this sort of augments more broadly what's going on in our social media world, where a lot of young people just don't really have a friend, or the friends that used to nurture us growing up, at least as I went through my those years. All right, so that said, what we tried to do about it is, at first I thought, all right, we're getting people back to school. We got learning loss to catch up with. We said last summer, let's, help them with math and STEM and catch up. And then we slowed down last spring. We said, a lot of these young people really aren't quite ready to learn. So we had free camps, and I think Coba was probably one of them. We had camps all across the state, just so kids can come back. They do a little bit of learning, but a lot of friendship and a lot of being with friends. We had hundreds of volunteers and college kids we paid as, just to be with these kids and help them along and have a friend going forward. And, I really thought that was going to ease the way back in the schools. Obviously in September, we had all of our schools open for in-person learning, which was amazing. My hope was, boy, that is going to really reduce the temperature after this summer, back with friends, and look, we'll be back to our new normal. And I think we've realized we still have some work to do. And the partnership still has some work to do. That, the overwhelming majority of our kids are getting back in the stride, but a lot of kids aren't. And that 6th, 7th grader yesterday just reminded me that a lot of folks need a friend. And all right, so what I can do at this level is we need more beds, we need more therapists, we've raised the rates, for those kids that are jamming into the emergency rooms. But for the other 90+% of those kids, this is what prevention is all about. It's about having a mentor. It's about having a friend. It's have somebody that really cares about you, and that's what the partnership is about. And I see evidence of this stress every day. You see we're having to close down some schools now, not because of COVID, but because of threats being telephoned in, some fisticuffs in the hallway, people feeling a little at risk, doing everything we can to lower the temperature. You see evidence of it in some of the spikes in crime. Trell, I've got to talk to you. When you say youth and gun violence, let's get offline and talk about what else I can be doing. Look, I'm not of the lock 'em up lobby. I am of the 95% of these kids just need a helping hand to get back in the game. And that's what the partnership's all about. And by the way, it's not just kids. I mean, we see it in addiction. We see it in a domestic abuse. I'm not this is the holiday season. I don't want to depress you, but there's a lot of evidence of how this is evidence. Look at some of the incredibly rude behavior you see at, restaurants. You read about it in airplanes. Some of the racist tropes you see, sketched on the wall of the synagogue. But the good news I want to tell you is we got the partnership in a state that really loves what the partnership does, a state where you have hundreds of mentors who have stood up, a state where we have thousands and thousands of volunteers who stood up over this last year. Like I said, apprentices in the classroom, in our summer camps, and nurses coming out of retirement. I was just, you don't celebrate Pearl Harbor Day, you remember Pearl Harbor Day. And I was said, for me, it's not a day that will live in infamy. It's more about a day where Americans stood up and realized that we were in it together and we're fighting for a common good. And that's what the greatest generation was about. And I went on to say, I think every day you see examples of new greatest generations as we confront our own Pearl Harbors. And so that's why we have the partnership. That's why Roland and Kelly and Lee and Johnny and a lot of you are stepping up. We can do a lot at the government level, but you know what we can't do? That really takes those 1,000 points of light, as George Bush the elder would say, and stand up and reach out and touch somebody. And that's what the Prevention Partnership does. That's why Lee and I believe in it so deeply. And that's why, from the bottom of my heart, this holiday season, thank you for what you're doing.